Welcome back to another edition of my channel, Wider Perspective. So, a lot of y'all have been experiencing firsthand how crazy the cost of living has gotten to the point where people could barely afford apartments anymore. I could remember a time, and this was not that long ago, whereas the average one bedroom, one bathroom apartment would range use around 500, and that was excluding the utilities. That is, whereas now you will be lucky to be able to even afford an apartment or find an apartment, one bedroom, one bathroom apartment. Even some one bedroom, one bathroom studio apartments range at $1,000. I'm talking about in my city of Birmingham, Alabama, and things have gotten so scarce to the point where so I would say times that is, let me rephrase that, have gotten so out of hand, the cost of living, if you factor in the cost of living, inflation, to the point where there are people who are working as professionals who are highly educated with college degrees who can't hardly make it, who have the result, believe it when I tell you, to doing DoorDash. Yes, gig economy work. Don't believe me? Well, as soon as I share my screen, you're going to see what I'm talking about. This really going to blow your mind.
Like these people are.
Hey. So I work in the operating room, and I just worked a 12-hour shift in the operating room, and I cannot afford my rent. I can't afford my rent. I can't afford gas. I can't afford groceries. I can't afford any of my endless other bills that I am responsible for because I am an adult. After working a 12-hour shift in the operating room. So you know what I have to do? I have to DoorDash, and it's 12:30 at night after I've been on my feet in the operating room for 12 hours.
And this is coming from out of the mouth of a surgeon. I'm assuming she's a plastic surgeon, or if not a plastic surgeon, somebody who does some other kind of surgery. Of all people, this is ridiculous, so crazy to the point where people who are professionals, who are white collar workers, are barely being able to make ends meet. People who are earning even six figures a year are barely being able to make ends meet. People who are highly successful, but yet and still they have to resort to be able to um, afford a sustainable living or get by that much more due to the economy, both the economy and the inflation, cost of living, all that fits into the same category. They have to resort to doing DoorDash, a job if they had a choice they would prefer not to do. But yet and still, how else will you survive in today's economy when how high inflation has gotten?
All day. I'm now out DoorDash driving.
There are some concerning realities about life in America right now. Number one, the younger generations, they are feeling more hopeless about homeownership and retirement. Corporate greed and rising costs have people feeling trapped financially. And for the first time in a long time, parents generally worry that their children are going to struggle more than they did. For many years, people believed that in this country, if you did all the right things, that you could make a life for yourself and a future for yourself. And that hope, that dream is disappearing for so many people right now because they're seeing that even though they're doing everything they need to do, that's becoming more and more out of reach.
In case you were curious what the housing market is like right now, my husband and I found a house that we absolutely loved, kind of a dream for us, on Thursday. We went and looked at it on Thursday. Put in an offer 10 grand over asking on Thursday. They had multiple offers already on Thursday. They decided, because they knew a bunch of people were going to be interested, to wait until Sunday, today, to do best and final offer, which means we had to put in our absolute best and final offer. We went up to 30 grand over asking, and we offered a $20,000 appraisal gap, which is if the house gets appraised for less than what you offered, you have to cover that gap with cash at the closing table. So we offered that. We also, in our offer, said that we're going to do inspections, but we're not going to ask them for any concessions or repairs. So if anything came back bad, they didn't have to fix it. Also, 3-week close. We didn't even stand a chance. We lost. They had 9 offers. 9 offers. Somebody offered, I think, 40 or 50 grand over asking with a full appraisal gap, which means 40 or 50 grand. Like, I just actually want to die because now I'm depressed, and it was my dream house. And now someone else gets to have my dream house because I'm too poor. I love my life.
What's the cost of a 1-bedroom where you live? Because if you're like the residents of Atlanta, Georgia, it's becoming increasingly unaffordable. I made a previous video about this where the average rent in Atlanta is $963. I should have clarified that's per person. And so when you take 2 people needing to have roommates now, the age group of 45 to 64 is increasing at a rapid rate over the last 20 years. They're basically bringing to the table about $810 on average. That buys them a 1-bedroom apartment for $1,600 for 2 people. So if you're like the people of Atlanta, it is becoming absolutely unaffordable, unobtainable to even rent, let alone dreaming about buying a house.
I need to know the secret. Where y'all getting your money from? Because there's no way. There's no way that everybody's out here struggling, yet everybody has money. Okay, I'm seeing stuff, people out here flaunting what they got, summertime goals, going on vacations, all that. Where y'all getting this bread from? And don't tell me it's a credit card, because I don't believe that. Somebody give me the real source of where y'all getting this money from.
15-ish years ago, I was able to afford a one.
Hey.
Now, and like I said earlier, and I will not quit stressing this for nothing to save my life. What are we supposed to do due to how hard times have gotten to the point where even doctors can't make it off of one income? A college graduate who had to go to, I'm assuming she did either that or maybe she may have had some connections to be able to get the medical job as a surgeon. But anyways, after having to survive off of that one income, and I don't know whether she may have kids or not, but let's just say she does have kids and a husband who may work as well. If that is the case, that's even worse. And even more of a prime example of how hard times have gotten to the point where, because if I'm not mistaken, you have to wait till the end of the month, whereas you get paid, to put it another way, once a month. Anytime you may have a job, or might as well say a career, that's an actual career-based job. Whereas, you're not just punching in a time clock working only 8 hours. You're, in some instances, working upwards to 14 hours a day, evening or night. This is just so sad, and at the same time so crazy how even doctors can't hardly survive, how even doctors have to settle for driving for DoorDash. And this just goes to show you how weird of times we are in, to the point where it almost seems like we're dreaming, the majority of us, when how crazy times have gotten due to inflation, due to the cost of living. And it's enough to make you wonder, what's next? I mean, people who may possibly work in a house of, or for the House of Representatives, is already people who work for the House of Representatives who have came on to social media complaining about how they are barely making ends meet. Ain't that some BS? Anyways, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm out. This is just sad.